prehistoric Australia, a land where the most normal spiders grow as big as your laptop screen. Snakes are seen swallowing crocodiles whole, and even something as harmless as a pine cone can kill you. Australia is home to all the scary things that will make you scream, "Holy cow!" Pretty much every animal there is dangerous. In fact, it would be easier to list the non-dangerous animals. So here we go. Quokkas. That's about it really. But even with quokkas, you are in danger of being loved to death. So proceed with caution. From venomous snakes to ferocious crocodiles, octopuses, and disgustingly overgrown earthworms, the Great Southern Land truly has it all when it comes to nightmare fuel and creepy crawlies. Despite all this, Australia today is a cakewalk compared to what it was just 50,000 years ago. You can imagine prehistoric Australia was a scene straight out of a Jurassic Park movie, but down under. And the Varanus priscus is the perfect example why. Better known as the Megalania, this was a massive monitor lizard and a close relative of the Komodo dragon, which also had its roots in Australia before spreading to nearby islands. This giant lizard could reach lengths of up to 23 feet or 7 meters, making it one of the largest reptiles to have ever existed. And here's a fun, or perhaps terrifying fact. Megalania only went extinct around 50,000 years ago. This means the first humans to reach Australia probably saw these enormous lizards up close and personal. This is why you shouldn't feel too adventurous when you're in Australia, because you can end up coming face to face with a lizard the size of a small bus. Megalania was considered one of the apex predators of Pleistocene Australia, which essentially means it ruled the territory with an iron claw. It probably ate whatever it wanted, from large mammals to other reptiles, and maybe even the occasional adventurous human who got too close. But let's not leave out the impressive features that made Megalania such a formidable predator. With its strong, muscular build, it could easily overpower its prey. Its long, sharp claws and powerful jaws were perfect for catching and devouring a variety of animals. And being closely related to the Komodo dragon, it might have even had venomous saliva, making its bite extra deadly. Despite its fearsome reputation, Megalania played a crucial role in its ecosystem, keeping the populations of other animals in check and maintaining a balance in the food chain. Its presence was a constant reminder of the raw power and unpredictability of nature. For the early humans and other creatures sharing its habitat, Megalania would have been the stuff of legends, an enormous, almost mythical beast that roamed the land. And so, this giant lizard is exactly what we mean when we say prehistoric Australia was pure nightmare fuel. It isn't alone in earning the continent its terrifying reputation though. The Marsupial Lion was an even shadier killer. Also known as the Thylacoleo, this lion roamed the Aussie land from around 2 million to 45,000 years ago. This creature can be seen as what happens when a wombat or koala decides it prefers meat over plants. Equipped with highly specialized teeth and jaws that functioned like bolt cutters, it was perfectly designed for a meat-based menu. The Marsupial Lion likely had a unique hunting technique, dropping onto its prey from trees above. This earned it the nickname drop bear, a nod to its tree-dwelling ambush tactics. This strategy would have made it a terrifying surprise for any unsuspecting animal wandering below. Now, this lion may not have been exceptionally large, but it stood out as one of the top predators and the largest carnivorous mammal to roam Pleistocene Australia. This killing machine was a true marvel of nature, even by Australian standards. Again, what set it apart were its highly unusual teeth, more reminiscent of a rodent than a typical predator. Its oversized front incisors were its main weapons, used for gripping and tearing, while its blade-like carnassial premolars sheared through flesh and bone with precision. The strength of Thylacoleo's jaws were equally impressive. A 220-pound or 99-kilogram Thylacoleo could deliver a bite force comparable to a modern lion weighing 550 pounds or 250 kilograms. This power allowed it to take down prey much larger than itself. Despite being only around 5 feet or 1.5 meters long, its tail, reinforced by strong muscles, provided crucial support during hunts, especially when tackling formidable prey like Diprotodon or competing with other Thylacoleo males. Another unique feature for a marsupial was its retractable claws, a trait that kept its razor-sharp hooks sharp and provided superior grip on prey. Like today's leopards, Thylacoleo likely used its climbing ability to ambush prey from trees. It was supported by its specialized rear feet with reduced first toes and rough pads for enhanced grip. Just like modern possums, scientists believe it evolved from a herbivorous ancestor, possibly related to possums, or sharing a common lineage with wombats and koalas. That's a pretty rare evolutionary path for carnivorous mammals, which typically descend from meat-eating ancestors. Regardless of its origins, Thylacoleo was a feared predator in Pleistocene Australia. Its ability to climb trees and launch surprise attacks made it a standout predator. This combination of arboreal stealth and ground-based power ensured it could take down sizable prey. Speaking of swift, Quinkana was another horror that once inhabited Australia. It's a genus of land-dwelling crocodiles equipped with blade-like serrated teeth and long legs that made them incredibly fast hunters. These scary reptiles could reach lengths of about 20 feet or 6 meters, making them a significant presence in their environment. Interestingly, they might have survived slightly longer than Megalania, with evidence suggesting they could have existed until as recently as 10,000 years ago. This means that the first humans to set foot in Australia not only had to contend with gigantic lizards, but also had to keep an eye out for these terrifying crocodiles. Encountering a crocodile that didn't just lurk in the water, but actively roamed the land looking for its next meal doesn't sound fun. The sight of Quinkana would have been enough to send shivers down the spine of any early human. Its formidable teeth were perfectly designed for slicing through flesh, making short work of its prey. As a top predator, it likely dined on a variety of large animals, keeping the balance of nature in check with its impressive hunting skills. And with such a fearsome reputation, it's no wonder that the name Quinkana comes from the Aboriginal folklore, where Quinkans are known as evil spirits. In addition to the terrifying land-dwelling crocodiles and massive monitor lizards, prehistoric Australia was also home to giant birds of prey, similar in size to the Haast's eagle from New Zealand. These formidable birds would have been capable of taking down large prey, including possibly even early humans. Among them was the Dinotaneus gaffy, the largest eagle ever to have lived in Australia. With its impressive wingspan and formidable talons, it would have been a dominant predator, capable of taking down large prey and soaring through the skies with an aura of unmatched authority. Another remarkable avian predator from this time was the Cryptogyps licetosus, Australia's only known vulture. This scavenger played a crucial role in the ecosystem, cleaning up after other predators and ensuring that no part of a carcass went to waste. And let's not forget the huge flightless birds. If you think a cassowary is frightening, these ancient birds would make them look downright adorable in comparison. With powerful legs and a fierce demeanor, these gigantic avians were more than capable of defending themselves against predators and would have been a force to be reckoned with. Then there were the giant kangaroos. Unlike their modern hopping counterparts, these enormous marsupials had short, flat faces and likely walked on 2 legs. Procoptodon goliah was the most extreme of these short-faced kangaroos. Even facing this guy would have been like meeting the Arnold Schwarzenegger of kangaroos. With its short, flat face and forward-facing eyes, it was always ready to scope out the next leafy branch to munch on. What really set this animal apart were its feet. Instead of the usual 4 toes, it sported a single, large toe on each foot, giving its footprints a superhero-sized impression. And those hands, each with 2 long-clawed fingers, were perfect for grabbing hard-to-reach snacks from the treetops. Then there was the creepy small roamer. Megalania, initially mistaken for a lizard due to its ornate skull adorned with spikes like a horned lizard, turned out to be one of the largest land turtles ever discovered. It's quite a confusion, isn't it? Scientists are still debating whether it belongs to the Cryptodira group, which tuck their necks under their spines, or the Pleurodira group, which bend their necks to the side. Megalania couldn't fit into either category due to its horned skull. Apart from its defensive headgear, Megalania sported a spiked tail, likely used to fend off attackers from behind, Much like the armored glyptodons of South America during the Ice Age, various subspecies of this horned turtle existed, with some smaller ones found on islands off Australia's east coast, where creatures shrink in size over time on isolated islands. Unfortunately, these fascinating creatures disappeared from Australia and nearby islands about 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. Human activity, including hunting, is believed to have played a major role in their extinction. In places like Vanuatu, remains of Megalania have been discovered in ancient trash heaps, suggesting they were once hunted by early human settlers. Now, another ancient animal that shared a similar fate in Australia was the Tasmanian tiger. The thylacine, also known as the Tassie tiger, was a distinctive marsupial carnivore that inhabited Australia and Tasmania until recent times. Resembling a large striped dog with a pouch, it had a jaw-dropping appearance, characterized by a long snout, sharp teeth, and a powerful jaw. Legend has it that this creature had a jaw capable of opening wider than any other mammal. It was primarily nocturnal or semi-nocturnal, though it was also active during daylight hours. Its movements were described as slow and somewhat stiff, characteristic of its cautious and deliberate hunting style. Whether alone or in pairs, the thylacine typically hunted at night, utilizing its keen senses to stalk and capture prey. In terms of diet, they had a varied palate, preferring kangaroos and other marsupials, as well as small rodents and birds. With the arrival of European settlers, reports surfaced of the thylacine preying on sheep and poultry. However, the extent of this predation was likely exaggerated, perpetuated by noticeable photographs such as those by Harry Burrell. These images, whether intentionally or not, contributed to the belief that thylacines posed a significant threat to livestock, adding to their controversial reputation. But despite their suspected impact on livestock, thylacines mostly relied on native wildlife for sustenance. Theirs is a sad tale of human impact on wildlife. However, up to this point, the largest of the Australian megafauna to have ever been discovered on the continent is the Diprotodon. Often compared to a rhinoceros, this animal holds the title of Australia's largest known megafauna. This herbivorous giant stretched about 10 feet or 3 meters in length, stood 6.5 feet or 2 meters tall, and weighed a whopping 6,100 pounds or 2,767 kilograms. Truly the heavyweight champion of marsupial mammals. Fossil finds scattered across Australia suggest it reigned supreme in size during its time. Initially, scientists thought there might be different Diprotodon species due to size variations in fossils. However, further digging revealed that these differences likely reflected gender distinctions. Males tended to be larger, a common trend in the animal kingdom. Like its modern cousin the wombat, Diprotodon had toes designed for digging, although its colossal size probably limited its burrowing abilities. Instead, it likely used its claws to root out tasty roots and tubers. Its backward-facing pouch was a handy feature, keeping dirt out while it foraged. It's estimated these guys ate around 100 to 150 kilograms of plants every day, using its chisel-like incisors to dig up vegetation. But despite its impressive bulk, Diprotodon didn't have many predators until humans arrived in Australia around 60,000 years ago. Creatures like Megalania and Quinkana were probably among the few that posed a threat. The mystery of Diprotodon's disappearance around 55,000 years ago continues to puzzle archaeologists. While human arrival is often blamed, climate change also played a role. As Australia drifted northward, it faced a drying trend that altered habitats and likely reduced food sources for Diprotodon. It's a classic case of survival in a changing world. Big creatures, big challenges, and a big mystery that keeps scientists guessing. In addition to the elephant-sized Diprotodon, Australia was also home to thunderbirds. Genyornis, known as the jawbird, was among the last of the thunderbirds to vanish from the Australian continent. It coexisted with early humans for about 15,000 years before its eventual extinction. Fossils found alongside human artifacts and cave paintings depicting flightless birds similar to Genyornis support this timeline. Standing over 6.5 feet or 2 meters tall and weighing around 550 pounds or 250 kilograms, this goose-like creature wasn't the largest bird in Australia, but it was certainly a notable presence. Debates among scientists continue regarding its diet, with many leaning towards it being a herbivore. However, some believe it might also have been a scavenger, given its stout wings, powerful legs resembling hooves, and a massive beak similar to a magpie goose, though much larger. As for where it lived, Genyornis thrived across a wide range of habitats on the ancient island continent, favoring open forests and savanna grasslands. Pieces of its eggshells found in sand dunes indicate it likely nested in these areas. As Australia shifted towards a drier climate over time, these habitats became more arid, favoring species like the emu over the Genyornis newtoni. This environmental change is probably what led to the gradual extinction of Genyornis. Now, speaking of birds, we can't leave out the most terrible one. The moa, found in nearby New Zealand rather than Australia, has a fascinating story of extinction. There were 11 types of moa, and the biggest, Genyornis, or terrible bird, was like a giraffe in size, reaching up to 11 feet tall or 3.5 meters. When humans first arrived in New Zealand about 700 years ago, the Maori found a land full of unsuspecting animals. Despite their size, females were even bigger, towering over males by 1.5 times and weighing 3 times as much. Moa were gentle plant eaters, quiet and unafraid of these new two-legged predators. Living without natural land enemies, moa had given up flying, and their feathers had changed into simpler, hair-like structures for warmth and waterproofing. Their huge eggs, 100 times bigger than a regular hen's, became a favorite food for the arriving humans, who quickly developed a taste for both the eggs and the giant birds themselves. In just 100 years after humans arrived, moa disappeared forever, unable to protect themselves from this new threat. Proof of this fast extinction is found all over New Zealand, with moa remains discovered in old trash heaps, likely food for the growing number of wild dogs called kuri that humans brought with them. These dogs, along with hunting by people and the use of fire to manage land, all played a part in the quick end of the moa. This is a clear example of how early humans helped make giant animals extinct all over the world during the last ice age. Since we've talked about New Zealand's largest herbivore, it's only fair to say a few words about its predator. Haast's eagle, also known as Harpagornis mori, was New Zealand's formidable predator that hunted the giant moa. With a wingspan stretching about 10 feet or 3.4 meters, and females tipping the scales at around 40 pounds or 18 kilograms, this eagle wasn't the largest flyer around, but it packed a hefty punch for its size. Instead of gliding gracefully like other birds, Haast's eagle relied on speed and quick turns for its hunting strategy. It's quite surprising to imagine a 40-pound bird taking down a 550-pound moa, but Haast's eagle managed this feat with relative ease. Despite its smaller wingspan compared to its height, which suited it for maneuvering in forested areas, Haast's eagle used its massive feet and claws, comparable in size to a modern-day tiger's, to swoop down on moa. It would grip the moa's back and break its spine swiftly, often before the moa realized the attack was coming. With no other land predators to compete with, Haast's eagle could feast on its kill for several days. But alas, the fate of Haast's eagle mirrored its prey. Once humans arrived in New Zealand about 6 centuries ago and made a hearty meal of moa and their giant eggs, the eagle's days were numbered. Without moa to hunt, this magnificent predator couldn't survive, fading into history not long after its massive prey. It's a reminder of how quickly things can change when humans enter the picture, even for the mighty creatures of the past. Finally, in order to properly end this list, we've decided to do so with a small, spiky creature, Zygossus hacketi. Zygossus hacketi was a quirky critter that adds a spiky twist to Australia's ancient animal roster. It wasn't the biggest beast around, but for a monotreme or egg-laying mammal, it was pretty impressive. At over 3 feet or 0.9 meters long and weighing about 65 pounds or 29.5 kilograms. Today, you can still find smaller versions of Zygossus wandering around Australia and New Guinea. They're often called spiny anteaters, even though they're not related to the ones in South America. Like its modern cousins, Zygossus was covered in protective spines, making it a formidable creature in its time. Its hind legs were longer than its front ones, allowing it to stand upright and use its powerful claws for digging termite nests, a skill shared with today's echidnas. Its distinctive trumpet-like snout curved downward, and housed a sticky tongue measuring 1.7 feet or 0.5 meters long, ideal for slurping up termites, ants, and possibly other tasty invertebrates like grubs, beetles, and worms. Interestingly, archaeological finds reveal a surprising twist. Remains of Zaglossus alongside charcoal and burn marks suggest the ancient Aboriginal people may have regularly cooked and eaten these spiky anteaters. This culinary tradition is further supported by cave paintings depicting creatures resembling Zaglossus aketi, placing both humans and this unique monotreme in the same historical era. All of this is without even considering the many deadly species that still live in Australia today. Venomous snakes, dangerous spiders, and other lethal creatures already roamed the land alongside these prehistoric nightmares. The combination of these ancient beasts and the already perilous fauna would have made the first humans to arrive in Australia feel like they had truly walked through the gates of hell. Everywhere they turned, there would have been a new danger lurking, whether it was a crocodile stalking through the underbrush, a giant bird of prey circling overhead, or a massive kangaroo striding through the grasslands. The early inhabitants of Australia faced an environment filled with creatures that seemed straight out of a nightmare. The sheer diversity and ferocity of these prehistoric animals highlight just how formidable and terrifying ancient Australia really was. If you've seen the 300-year-old human mummy that came out of Alaska, you already know that what's buried under the Antarctican soil is going to be a lot more frightening. What else can you expect from a land where temperatures are even lower than those on Mars? It truly is an alien continent. But it wasn't always like this. It was a place full of life, with dense forests and terrifying creatures, massive theropod dinosaurs, prehistoric crocodiles, and the most fearsome reptilian of all, the Mosasaurus. All roamed Antarctica because long ago, this continent was not the icy desert it is today. But there's one thing about it that never changed. Just as humans can't survive in its environment today, they couldn't even dream of setting foot in prehistoric Antarctica. And in this video, you'll find all the reasons why. Here's the first one. In 1990, a crazy discovery was made in the remote, rocky expanse of the Transantarctic Mountains. The remains of a massive, meat-eating dinosaur. It took over 2 decades and numerous expeditions to carefully extract the enormous predator's bones from the frozen crags of Mount Kirkpatrick. This dinosaur, named Cryolophosaurus, meaning frozen crested lizard, was aptly named for its distinctive head crest and its ability to endure the freezing 3-month-long darkness of prehistoric Antarctica. It is also affectionately known as the Elvisaurus, named after singer Elvis Presley. Scientists can only speculate about the head crest's purpose, but as with the human Elvis, it was probably a sexually selected characteristic meant to attract the female of the species. This 25-foot or 7.6-meter South Pole hunter turned out to be the largest known early Jurassic carnivore on Earth. A true nightmare from the frozen past. And it wasn't alone. Antarctopelta, meaning Antarctic shield, was a herbivorous dinosaur from the Cretaceous period that also inhabited Antarctica. This ankylosauran dinosaur measured about 13 feet or 4 meters in length, making it relatively small compared to other ankylosaurs. But despite its small size, it was pretty tricky trying to classify this guy, as it displayed traits from 2 different families of ankylosaurs. Unearthed on James Ross Island in 1986, it became the first dinosaur ever found in Antarctica, and the second to be formally named from the continent. This discovery not only shed light on Antarctica's ancient inhabitants, but also posed new questions about how dinosaurs adapted to survive in such extreme polar conditions. Like its armored relatives, Antarctopelta was a robust herbivorous quadruped, protected by thick plates embedded in its skin. Although only fragments of its skull have been found, they reveal a skull heavily reinforced for defense, complete with a striking suborbital spike over the eye. Its leaf-shaped teeth, with serrations concentrated near the snout tip, suggest a diet adapted for chewing tough vegetation. In addition to this formidable dinosaur, another chilling discovery has emerged from the icy depths of Antarctica. A colossal soft-shell egg of ancient origins. Unearthed around a decade ago and recently identified by researchers at the University of Texas in Austin, This fossilized marvel sat neglected in Chile's National Museum of Natural History until now. This egg, resembling a squashed football at over 11 inches long and 7 inches wide, is believed to be the largest of its kind ever found. Dating back around 66 million years, just before the dinosaurs met their end, it offers a glimpse into the mysterious world of an extinct marine reptile, a mosasaur. These monstrous predators, reminiscent of the aquatic giants from Jurassic World, likely laid such eggs. By comparing the egg size with those of modern reptiles, scientists estimated the mosasaur that laid it must have been over 23 feet long, excluding its tail. Fossilized bones of juvenile and adult mosasaurs and plesiosaurs found in the same Antarctic rock formation further reinforce the shocking find. Large mosasaurs often occupied the top of the food chain in the Cretaceous oceans, dominating their ecosystem with their formidable presence. Antarctica, with its rich prehistoric tapestry, hosted these fearsome mosasaurs, alongside one of its terrifying kinds, the Cryolophosaurus, and mysterious giant eggs. If this doesn't reinforce the icy continent's reputation as a land of ancient nightmares, let us introduce you to the elasmosaurus. It took decades of battling harsh weather on a small, desolate island off the Antarctic peninsula, but scientists have finally unearthed the heaviest known elasmosaur. This ancient aquatic reptile, which swam the seas during the Cretaceous period alongside the dinosaurs, would have weighed as much as 15 tons. Now, it stands as one of the most complete ancient reptile fossils ever discovered in Antarctica. Elasmosaurs belong to the family of Plesiosaurs, some of the largest sea creatures of the Cretaceous. Plesiosaurs generally resembled large manatees with giraffe-like necks and snake-like heads, but they had 4 flippers instead of 3. The newly described heavyweight elasmosaur belongs to the genus Aristonectes, a group that stands out from other elasmosaurs due to its distinct features. Unlike their North American counterparts, Aristonectes species had shorter necks and larger skulls. This as yet unnamed elasmosaur weighed around 14.8 tons, or 32,628 kilograms, with a head-to-tail length of nearly 40 feet, or 12 meters. While some previously known Aristonectes specimens have weighed around 11 tons, or 11,000 kilograms, most other elasmosaurs typically weighed about 5 tons. For such a massive creature to thrive, there must have been an abundance of marine life to satisfy its appetite. The existence of these gigantic elasmosaurs so late in the Cretaceous period suggests that the aquatic world was thriving right up until the sudden mass extinction. Here's a question for you. Having a warmer climate is one thing, but can you imagine Antarctica as a landscape of steaming swamp and stinky forest? It became unbearably hot in summer, and even at its coldest, it hardly ever froze. This was the Arctic Circle 90 million years ago. And of course, in a place like that, you're going to find ancient relatives of crocodiles. Scientists believe a recent fossil finding proves early relatives of dinosaurs and crocodiles once roamed the lush forests of what is now ice-covered Antarctica. A new species of dinosaur, Antarctonax shackletoni, has been discovered. The name means Antarctic king, and rightfully so. The incomplete fossil skeleton is described as an iguana-sized reptile that hunted bugs, and early relatives of mammals and amphibians around 250 million years ago, when Antarctica was covered with forests and rivers. On its own, it just looks a little like a lizard, but evolutionarily, it's one of the first members of the big group of crocodiles and dinosaurs. So, it tells us a lot about how dinosaurs and their closest relatives evolved and spread. The researchers who made this discovery believe that during this time, Antarctica rarely dipped below freezing and was home to diverse wildlife. About 2 million years before the Antarctic king lived, Earth's largest mass extinction occurred, caused by volcanic eruptions that killed 90% of all animal life. The years immediately after the extinction event were an evolutionary free-for-all. Mass extinction wiped the slate clean and allowed new groups of animals, including archosaurs like dinosaurs, to thrive. Antarctopelta is another extinct mammal from the early Eocene that existed in old Antarctica. It was about the size of a large dog and belonged to a group called the Strapatherians. These were distinct relatives of today's elephants and manatees. The tale of Antarctopelta began with a single tooth. a remarkable fossil found in Seymour Island in West Antarctica. This tooth, discovered by scientists in 2011, became the key to unlocking the mystery of Antarctopelta sobrali. Back then, Seymour Island was part of a land bridge connecting Antarctica with South America, where similar creatures once roamed. What makes this tooth so special is that despite being just a solitary find, its shape and size give clues about what Antarctopelta looked like and how it lived. It most likely used its teeth to chew on plants, much like today's herbivores, munching on grasses and leaves. But this discovery wasn't just about a fossil tooth. It was a glimpse into Antarctica's ancient past. It once again confirms that millions of years ago, this icy continent was a much warmer place. And up next on our list is the Australodelphus. This was a strange dolphin that lived during the Pliocene epoch millions of years ago. The name literally translates to southern dolphin, which was a testament to Antarctica's vibrant past. Discovered in the Sourcedale Formation on the Mule Peninsula of East Antarctica, this creature's fossils revealed a story of adaptation and survival in a world very different from today. The discovery of Australodelphus was a breakthrough in paleontology, shedding light on the unique adaptations of marine life in Antarctica. Its facial structure suggested a feeding strategy similar to modern beaked whales, using rapid mouth openings to create suction for capturing soft-bodied prey. Named Mirus, Latin for strange or wonderful, Australodelphus mirrored the mysteries of its environment. Its fossils, collected over years of exploration, unveiled clues about a time when Antarctica was connected to other continents and shared faunal connections across the southern hemisphere. Now for the colossal penguin. Unearthed from the frozen earth, the fossilized bones of Palaeeudyptes klekowskii tell a tale of a true titan of the penguin world, towering over today's largest emperor penguins. This mighty bird, measuring a staggering 6.5 feet or 2 meters from beak to toe and weighing in at a hefty 115 kilograms or 253 pounds, roamed the shores some 37 to 40 million years ago. Back then, Antarctica teemed with penguin life, hosting a diverse community of 10 to 14 different species along its frosty coastlines. The discovery of P. klekowski's massive bones, including an astonishingly long tarsometatarsus, a fusion of ankle and foot bones measuring a record 9.1 centimeters, tells us about its incredible size. While estimates suggest it stood taller than any known penguin, its actual height might have been slightly less than its length due to its upright stance. Compared to today's emperor penguins, which reach lengths of 4.4 feet or 1.36 meters and weigh about 46 kilograms or 101 pounds, P. klekowskii was a true giant. Even compared to its ancient cousins, it surpassed the previous height record held by another extinct species at around 1.5 meters tall. Its skeleton was notably different from modern penguins, making length estimates uncertain, but confirming its enormous size. Such giants likely had adapted skeletons that enabled them to dive deeper and stay submerged longer than small penguins, up to 40 minutes at a time, giving them an advantage in hunting fish in the frigid Antarctic waters. Also present in those waters was another penguin species, known as Palaeeudyptes antarcticus, also known as the narrow-flipped penguin. It was a notably large species of penguin, with some variation in size among individuals. While exact measurements are challenging to pin down, these birds likely stood around 1.4 meters or 4.7 feet tall during their lifetime, making them slightly larger than today's emperor penguins. Among the largest known penguin species, Palaeeudyptes antarcticus was the final species of its genus. It's believed to have evolved from or possibly coexisted with Palaeeudyptes marplesi, another large penguin species. Over time, there may have been a slight decrease in size within the lineage. In this ancient past, another group of now extinct creatures lived. These were small marsupials called microbiotheres. These belonged to a special order known as Microbiotheria, which includes the Monito del Monte, a tiny marsupial still found in the rainforests of South America. But these ancient Microbiotheres weren't just limited to South America. Fossils tell us they also wandered into other parts of the world millions of years ago. It was a time when South America, Antarctica, and Australia were all part of one big landmass called Gondwana. Back then, these little marsupials started their journey. The story begins in Bolivia, where the oldest Microbiotheria fossils have been found. These date back to a time called the early Paleocene, which means they lived over 60 million years ago. From their teeth, scientists have learned about Casia cordylarensis, one of the earliest microbiotheories known to us. As time passed, more of these creatures were discovered across South America. They roamed the forests and grasslands, leaving behind their fossilized remains for us to uncover today. In places like Seymour Island in western Antarctica, fossil teeth suggest that microbiotheories also ventured into these colder lands during a warmer period in Earth's history. Even in northeastern Australia, clues have been found in the Tingomara local fauna. Here, fossils hint at the presence of early microbiotheories, showing us how these marsupials spread across Gondwana. They adapted to different environments, from the lush forests of South America to the icy shores of Antarctica, and eventually to the diverse landscapes of Australia. Now let's talk about the extremely shady history of the White Continent to understand what exactly has been going on there. In the distant past, around 600 million years ago, a colossal supercontinent known as Gondwana stretched across the Earth's surface. This ancient landmass included what we now call Antarctica, nestled among other familiar continents like South America, Africa, and Australia. Back then, life on Earth was a far cry from what we know today. It was a time when tiny, microscopic organisms dominated the seas, and the land was barren, devoid of visible plant or animal life. As time marched forward into the Ediacaran and Cryogenian periods, subtle changes began to stir under the surface of the ocean. Early marine creatures such as sponges tentatively began to appear, marking the beginnings of a gradual shift towards more complex life forms. These creatures paved the way for a new era, the Cambrian explosion, around 541 million years ago. During this remarkable period, Antarctica, then a part of Gondwana, enjoyed a relatively mild climate with expansive coastlines kissed by warm seas. It was a time when life flourished in the oceans, giving rise to diverse marine species. The story of Antarctica's ancient past takes a dramatic turn as we journey through the Devonian, Carboniferous, and Permian periods. Fossil evidence unearthed from beneath the icy surface tells us that Antarctica was once teeming with life. Among the ancient swamps and lush fern forests, creatures like the Lystrosaurus also roamed. This herbivorous giant thrived in a world where towering trees and thick vegetation stretched as far as the eye could see. But the Great Dying, a catastrophic event marking the end of the Permian period, changed everything. This mass extinction event devastated life across the globe. Yet, Antarctica seemed to provide a sanctuary for the resilient Lystrosaurus and other creatures. While much of Gondwana turned into a harsh, arid wasteland, Antarctica remained relatively temperate, sheltering a unique group of species. Fast forward to the Jurassic period, and Antarctica reveals more of its ancient secrets. Fossil sites like Mount Kirkpatrick take the covers off of a world unimaginable today, a world where dense forests of cycads and towering conifers stretched across the land. These primeval forests supported a thriving ecosystem of dinosaurs, synapsids, and flying pterosaurs. Among them, the Cryolophosaurus, a fearsome predator resembling a smaller cousin of the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex, prowled the ancient Antarctic landscape. It was a time of giants and dramatic landscapes, where Antarctica stood as a hub of biodiversity. As the continents continued their slow dance across the Earth's surface, Antarctica witnessed the rise and fall of mighty creatures. Dinosaurs, including the majestic Plesiosaurs, roamed the icy plains and adapted to life in a land that knew no winter as we do today. The discovery of small pterosaurs like Dimorphodon hints at a sky filled with ancient winged creatures, adding to the diversity of life that once thrived in this now frozen wilderness. Throughout the Cretaceous period, as Gondwana gradually fragmented and Antarctica drifted southward, the continent's climate began to shift. Evidence suggests that inland regions cooled, possibly experiencing bouts of glaciation as the continent settled into its polar position. Despite these changes, Antarctica's ancient legacy as a cradle of life persisted, leaving behind a treasure trove of fossils and clues to its vibrant past. Today, Antarctica stands as a frozen frontier, its icy landscapes holding secrets of a time when giants roamed and ecosystems thrived. The fossils buried beneath its snow and ice continue to unravel the mysteries of Earth's history, reminding us of a time when this southernmost continent was anything but frozen, a time when prehistoric Antarctica was, in its own way, a place of insane diversity and pure evolutionary drama. After hearing about the dangers the continents once posed, would you still want to explore it someday? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll catch you in the next video.